Right, the first thing that you need to know about Maya is there's a huge difference between opening files and importing files. Now this difference starts to get bigger and bigger as we get to know the software. But first off, you should know that when I say open the files, we are going to click on File, Open. When we say import files, we are actually going to be importing something new into a pre-existing file setup that you have. This might seem really lame that I'm saying this right now, but as I said, as we start going, this difference starts becoming bigger and bigger, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so when it comes to uh, opening files, Maya supports different file formats. Amongst those, you have .ma, .mb, your opening files. Basically, that's it, actually. Right, these are the only two kinds of files that you can open in Maya, out of which I want you to subscribe to using .mas, because those are my favorite formats. Those are going to be your favorite formats too, for lots of different reasons, and these reasons will start becoming clearer as we go. So for now, just make sure that when you're saving files, when you're opening files, you want to save them particularly as Maya ASCII, not Maya binary, MA and B. So you will go with MA. Is that okay? Cool. When it comes to exporting or importing files, Maya can use different file formats such as .ma, .mb, .mb, .fbx, .obj. These are all really interesting formats. These are only a few examples of a huge range of different kinds of file formats that Maya can import. Okay, but these are the main ones, and these are the ones that we want to keep in mind, and we'll come to importing and exporting in some time. But for now, remember, when we are saving files, we're going to save them as .ma. You have the option of saving it as .mb, but I want you to stick with .ma instead. Cool, that was fairly easy. Now, since you know about saving files, you should also know about something called as projects. Projects is basically Maya 101. That's Maya's way of organizing files for you, and it is so important. It is very, very important that you guys organize your files using the structure that Maya provides. I'm going to explain to you what projects are. So here's a habit that we are going to put or we are going to implement as we go. When you guys begin, when you guys are about to begin working on a project, I want you guys to start out by creating a new project. To create a new project, you're basically going to click on File, Project Window. And you're creating a new project, so click on New and give your project a nice name. Say, for example, let's say I'm working on a project called as Superheroes. Superheroes underscore project is going to be the name of my project folder. Okay, I'm working on my home computer, so I'm going to make sure that this sits in this little folder on my desktop, if you will, right over here. Okay, so that is where I want my project folder to sit. Let me quickly open this out for you. Let me show you that it's a completely empty folder for now. I'm going to move this to the side. Since you guys are working on the computers of the DMC, I want you to make sure that you're always actively working on the D drive. Do not work on the H drive. Work actively on the D drive only. Your D drive is basically a local drive, which is a hard drive sitting in the computer that you're working on. That's the safest connection that you have. Working on the H drive, which is a network drive, is like working off of the internet. The connection is really unstable, and Maya is going to crash a lot more if you save off of the H drive. So make sure you're working off of the D drive, and then eventually when you're done with your work, you can just copy stuff into your H drive for backup. Okay, so I'm going to say accept, and I want you to see what Maya has done. Is in this empty folder, it's basically created a project by the name, a folder by the name of my project, inside of which there are other folders which can seem to make things a little more confusing. What I want you to remember here amongst all these is that your Maya files, in this case your MA files, are going to sit in the scenes folder right here. So this is where your Maya files are going to sit. And your textures that you will paint eventually for the texturing assignment will sit here in the source images folder. So remember, Maya files in the scenes folder and texture files in the source images folder. Okay, creating a project is one half of it. The other part is setting the project. Now imagine I'm going to say Control N. I'm just going to open up a new scene here. I've just opened a new scene and I'm about to work on Maya. The first thing I want you to do, the first thing before you do absolutely anything at all, is set your project. This is a habit I want you guys to generate. You open Maya, you set project. You open Maya, you set project. You go to the bathroom, you wash your hands. You open Maya, you set project. Is that okay, everybody? So make sure you're setting your project. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'll talk about what it really does for you. So click on File, Set Project. Now check this out, okay? Now imagine, I'm assuming you guys are taking 3 courses. Let's imagine that you guys are working on 3 projects simultaneously. So you have superheroes that underscore project here. You might have other projects here as well. So what you're doing by selecting the project and clicking on Set is you're telling Maya which project you guys are working on, and that way Maya can make sure that all the files pertaining to that project are kept within the project, which is this project right here. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to click on project, I'm going to say set. If I try to save this file, save scene as, it'll automatically take me into the scenes folder of the project that I have set my Maya to, which is fantastic. Okay, so make sure you're always setting your project. You're always setting your project before you actually begin working on that project. Okay, so once you've set your project, now you need to know how to save your files. Okay, I want you guys to know that your Maya is going to crash every now and again, and that's why we'll do everything in our power to make sure that we are able to save the files that we can as much as we can. Okay, so there's a particular protocol I want you guys to follow when you guys are saving your files. The way I want you to save these files is by this file name. Okay, let's say I have an empty file right here, and I'm going to call it file. Let's give it a file name. I'm going to call it superheroes. I'm going to call it .001.ma. I want you to look at this format very clearly and very nicely. This format is very important. File name dot version number dot .ma. And remember, your MA files are now getting saved in the scenes folder. Okay, I'm going to say save as. And if you look up here, right here, all the way on the top, it shows you that I'm working on superheroes.001.ma. Now let me change the file a little bit. In that, let me just change the camera. Okay, so I want you to, of course, constantly save your file. To do that, either you can click on File, Save Scene, or I can simply click on Control S. Okay, but every 10 minutes, I want you to make an incremental save, which means that in every 10 minutes, you're going to work on this and you're going to save the scene as .002. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing how I'm working on version number 2 now? So in every 10 minutes, you guys are going to be generating a different increment, if you will. Okay, now the reason why I wanted you to follow this particular protocol, superheroes, which is file name dot version number dot ma, is because there is a shortcut to doing this as well. Now check this out. I'm changing the file a little bit. In that, once again, I'm changing the camera angle. Now instead of saving it as, I'm just going to click on File, Increment and Save, and that is the shortcut for it, which is Control Alt S. I'm going to click on Increment and Save, and I want you to see what happens here. Okay, take a look here as I increment and save. Ready? On 3, look up, look at the file name. 1, 2. Did you see that? Did you see it automatically incremented the number and it saved it, which is fantastic. So that makes things really easy for me. Every 10 minutes, instead of saving it as, I'm just going to do a Control Alt S, and that way I'll be generating tons and tons of these increments, if you will. By the end of it, you'll have maybe thousands of files on you, which is absolutely okay. I do not want you guys to think about how many files you've generated. I want you to think about the safety of these files, which is so much more important. Okay, now since we're talking about things to do, let me also talk about things that I do not want you guys to do. There are basically three things that we normally do in other softwares that you cannot do in Maya. Let's write them down. Okay, number one, you cannot double click on Maya files and open them up. We do this with Photoshop, we do this with Word, After Effects. I do not want you guys to do this with Maya. The way to do this, the way to open a file in Maya is to open Maya like a good boy or a good girl. And then you go into File, Set Project. If you don't have a project, then you're going to have to go into your project window and create a project. And then you click on File, Open Scene. So do it all the way. Don't take shortcuts. This is how I want you to open files. Okay. Next up, we do this all the time, right? You basically drag a file into Photoshop to open it with Photoshop. In Maya, dragging files into the software is like importing files. It's not opening, it's importing. So I want you to just stay away from dragging files. You know how to open files in Maya. I want you to open Maya, set your project, and then click on File, Open. Here's one more thing I do not want you to do. I do not want you to cut, copy, paste inside of Maya. Okay, which means if you have something like a cube and you want to create a duplicate of this cube, you will not press Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Instead, you can choose to use Ctrl D. Ctrl D will make a duplicate cube, which is certainly something that you can use. Okay, that's duplicate. So certainly use duplicate wherever you can, but do not cut, copy, paste.